I decided to play every single Barbie game I could get my hands on because it is one of the only giant game franchises that I have never played before. This is mainly because I spent most of my childhood playing Call of Duty and GTA,
Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet.
which in general are targeted towards men, but the Barbie game being targeted more towards girls. I'm not saying that these are the only games that girls can play. There's also Cooking Mum. But I thought, why don't I, a straight 21-year-old male who's comfortable in his sexuality, play the Barbie games and see how good they actually are. Who knows, this could be my new favourite genre, and I may never go back. And by the end of this video, that could be the case. When researching how many Barbie games there actually are, I realised there are much more than I was expecting, and a lot of the very early ones you can't even physically play anymore without the console that they were made on. However, with a bit of snooping around and some amazing coding skills, I've managed to get access to most of them, but it took a lot of working out, and I think I ended up using every single version of Windows in the process. I'm going to be giving each game a rating out of 5 stars, and after rating all of them, we'll see which one is the best and which one is the worst. I'll also be taking into account the technology at the time, because of course the gameplay is going to be a lot worse in a tiny arcade game made before computers could even say hello world. Also, if you like my content, feel free to like and subscribe, it really helps out. The first Barbie game I'm playing is Barbie on the NES. This is a very old game, as you can tell by the graphics and the fact that it came out in 1991. But despite this, it's actually pretty fun. The basic premise is that Barbie is going to sleep and has a very weird dream about a Mario-style 2D platformer game where there are tennis balls and beach balls being hit at her, as well as parrots, and she needs to go around and collect these little Barbie coins. The colours are very weird, with this green background and purple obstacles. And I even thought I got like a weird version of the game, or mum is bugging out, but it wasn't, and I guess if this is a dream that Barbie is having, then there would be some weirdness to it. As I mentioned, this is a very old game, so of course there isn't much to do, and the gameplay is very basic, just consisting of jumping and throwing things, but there are some cool little animations when Barbie is going to sleep, and when you lose, you just wake up and can choose whether you want to go back to sleep or stay awake, which is kind of a cool feature. But that is pretty much it. So for this game, I'm going to give it 2 stars, because it was made in the early 1990s, so there's not much they could have done, but also there is more that they could have included, and the game does kind of look a bit cursed, which freaks me out. The second game is Barbie Supermodel, with a bit more of a colourful arcade style. And in this game, basically Barbie starts dreaming about being in Hollywood whilst in a restaurant, and you have to drive to different places in the city to complete different tasks, and on the way you collect these stars to get points. The different places you go to are a photo shoot where you need to match Barbie with the outfit that is in the magazine, a practice gym where you can do some choreography in preparation for the main show at the end of the mission, and then you drive back, and on the way you have to do Barbie's hair and makeup in this very personal close-up shot. Then you have the final show where you put everything you've done together to put on a great performance and get bonus points. There are some other missions that in different places, such as on a beach where Barbie is on roller skates and a park where she's on a bike, but these are pretty much the same thing, just in a different map. Overall, I think this is a fun arcade game, and if I was a kid in the early 90s, I would have enjoyed playing it. Although the missions are pretty much the same on every single level, the scoring system does give it a good amount of replayability. I'm gonna give this one 3 stars. Next up is Barbie and her magical dream house. In this one, you kind of just point and click on things around the house, and it makes some comical sound effects and does a thing. There are a few challenges like the Barbie matching game hosted by the handsome Ken.
Hi, this is Ken reporting live from Barbie's fashion show.
And then another matching game where you just match some squares with clothing on them to get a picture. Not very original, but I guess it is a kid's game. You can also write a letter to someone from Barbie as she drinks some lemonade by the pool. Most of the game is spent just looking around the house, decorating Barbie and her horse, and making things move. Not much else to it really, so for this one I'm going to give it 1 star, the lowest so far. Barbie Fashion Designer is next on the list, and this is very similar to a few games we'll see. Pretty much all the games on the list contain this type of gameplay in one way or another, but the whole point of the Barbie dolls was to dress them up, so it does make sense. But to be fair, the customization is pretty decent. There's loads of different colours, patterns and types of clothing. Not anything I would personally wear, but I'm sure those in the target audience would love to. One feature I do like is that you can show off the outfit you create in a fashion show that is 3D instead of 2D simple cartoon that you design the outfit in, even if it does look a bit weird. But because that's as far as it goes, I'm going to give this one 1.5 stars. Next up is Barbie Nail Designer. When the audio started to mess up when I was playing, making it sound very creepy.
I've got lots of pretty flower colors and decorations.
But this game is basically the dress-up game, but with nails. There's a few different colours and patterns, and you can even make nails glow and sparkle. They've also included the ability to change the race for your Barbie, which is very progressive. Well done. The only other things are making your own colour and taking a picture to be able to print out from your home computer, which I can imagine was all the rage back in the late 90s, and a lot of the games, as we'll see, have this feature. I'm going to also rate this one 1.5 stars. Next up we have Barbie Looks Cool Fashion Designer. That's a bit of a mouthful. This is another designer game, but at least this one has multiple characters to design instead of just Barbie. And also has a new narrator who's in a lot of the games actually, and just randomly speaks to you when you do something.
Click on one of these exciting places. Then let's create some cool clothes to wear there.
But this one is pretty much the exact same game as Barbie Fashion Designer, with some more clothing to customize, better walk animations, and you can print off more stuff. So I'm going to give this one 2 stars. Now we're on to Barbie Magic Hairstylers, which is, you guessed it, a hairstyler game. In this one you choose from the 4 characters that were in the previous game, and I think this is Barbie's group, I'm not too sure. But you pick a character and do their hair and makeup. The hair has some quite realistic physics to it when you brush it, and there's also a few ways to style it as well. But I don't know, maybe because I am a grown man, but all of the styler and designer games don't appeal to me too much. So this one's also going to get 2 stars. But now we're leaving the designer games for a bit and are heading into a new type of Barbie game with Detective Barbie in the Mystery of the Carnival Caper. First we get to choose a name out of this weird list. I mean, how many ways are there to spell Alishan? I've never even heard of the name Alishan. The game opens with a quick background of what has happened. Basically, Ken joined in on a magic trick in a charity event, but when the box he was in opened, he was gone, along with the charity money. And now us, Alishan and Barbie, have to find out what the f is going on. This takes place in an old looking carnival where there are clues about Ken's whereabouts, and you have to click and inspect the clues and analyze them in this detective computer. The map is actually quite big and detailed as well, and there are many different clues that you need to find, and you end up going into very little weird back rooms within the carnival which are fun to explore, and there's also some carnival games you can play. I couldn't find Ken in the end after a bit of time searching, mainly because the audio started glitching again and it started to freak me out, but I'm sure he was hiding in an interesting place. Overall, I think the graphics and design are a lot more sophisticated in this game, and you can tell a lot more thought was put into creating an actual story, even if it wasn't a very complex one. The mechanics are also simple, but they do what's needed. You point, click, and zoom in on things. I'm giving this one 3 stars. Next up we have Barbie Adventure Riding Club. This is where the game started to ask for this feedback form, as well as all my information. I'm guessing so they can sell me stuff, but I'm not even sure if this would work 28 years later. If anyone remembers this, let me know down below. First of all, this one gets extra points as it came with an app that lets you put a horse on your desktop that you can feed and pet and just chills there whilst you carry out your work. And I thought this was a very cool addition. The actual game takes place in this nice valley, which you ride through on various routes and then come back to a stable nearby. In the stable, you can choose your horse and its name, and Barbie actually says the name, which I wasn't expecting, especially before the era of AI.
Baby. Blaze. Belle. Beauty.
In the stable is where you can feed and groom the horse, but this is only a small part of the game. The rest of the game is spent riding. And don't get me wrong, riding the horse does look very janky, and it's just a 2D animation, but the inclusion of different trails and being able to get off the horse anywhere is a nice feature. There's also horse racing, which I may have got a little bit too into.
Come on, game! Come on, game!
Yeah, I may have forgot that this was a kid's game for a second. This one's getting 3.5 stars. Next we have Barbie Digital Makeover. Again, just another makeup game with more detailed makeup tools and really creepy realistic faces. This is getting 2.5 stars. Next up we have the sequel to the first Detective Barbie game, Detective Barbie 2, The Vacation Mystery. Now Alishan is back and ready to solve more mysteries, now in a vacation resort. This is basically the same as the first game, but this time the story is that there's a professor who we meet who finds a book that says the owner of the resort has hidden some valuable jewelry. So he gives us the book to be able to go find it with the help of this magnifying glass.
This must be one of the old owner's crazy inventions.
Has she never seen a magnifying glass before? The gameplay is pretty much the same as the first. Point and click at clues and analyze them in the computer. But this time we're joined by a group of friends and not just by ourselves. And of course the map is different. They've added some new mission types like racing a quad bike on the beach, boat racing, hang gliding, which are fun to do and give a lot more variety than just looking for clues the whole time. I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars. Next we have Barbie Super Sports, which starts with this 2000s menu music, which I found quite nostalgic. In this game, you can choose a character, dress them up, and then go either roller skating or snowboarding. You move your character with the mouse, which I quite like, and it feels very smooth for such an old game, which normally can be quite janky. You can do tricks to gain points in challenges and complete races against the clock and other snowboarders around this cool snow map. This might have been the game that inspired Steep now that I think about it. You can use the points you've collected to get more outfits for your character, which I think is a good addition as well. The roller skating side is the same, with just a skate park instead of a snowy map, and of course you're on roller skates, not a snowboard. There are some cool ways to get around, like being launched by these water dispensers and jumping off of slides, and there are also different outfits for the roller skating side. Overall, I think this was fun to play, and I'd also give it 3.5 stars. The next game we're playing is Barbie Generation Girl Gotta Groove. In this game, there's a dance group of Barbie and her friends, one of whom is Chelsea, who I think has the worst English accent I've ever heard.
My name's Chelsea Peterson and I'm from England. My favourite class is writing, and most of all writing poetry.
There's a computer where you can create an image and print it off like literally every other game, and then there's the actual dancing. To dance, you chain moves together by rearranging these cards, and then the characters do the moves. But this is very janky, and Barbie ends up just going off screen for like a minute, so I'm not sure what that's about. Then of course, this is a Barbie game, so you can do their outfits and makeup and then perform at a live show. And that's pretty much it. There's not much to this game, and it can be quite glitchy, so I'm giving this one 2 stars. Next up is Barbie as Princess Barbie. Yeah, this one just completely broke on me and started glitching out, so I couldn't really play it. But it didn't really look like anything special anyways, to be honest. 1 star. Next is Barbie Pet Rescue. This is actually very fun to play. This game takes place in this pet rescue center that Barbie works at with Stacy.
Welcome to our pet rescue center. My sister Stacy and I are sure glad you're here.
First, we need to get through the intro and then find this little hamster that's gone missing. And then we can go and play with the animals in the playroom. Each animal can be pet up close and personal. There's a dog, cat, turtle, hamster, and bunnies, each with their own activity to do. The dog plays treat toss, where you just toss treats at her. The cat chases a mouse around that you control. The hamster has a maze that you need to rearrange to allow her to get some food, water, and rest. The turtle has a race that you compete against another turtle with and maneuver by placing these grapes on the ground that they eat. And the bunnies have a game where you put them back with their mother. Oh yeah, and there's dissection mode as well. No, I'm just kidding. There is a checkup room though, where you can make sure the animals are healthy. And then there's a few rescue missions where you go out into different areas and go rescue some animals. Like this parrot that has escaped a farm, so we put some seeds on a plate and capture the guy. This then gives us a badge that we can put up in the office, and that is pretty much most of what the game has to offer. I actually really enjoyed playing this one, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. Next we have Barbie Magic Genie Bottle. Now looking at videos online, this game actually looks pretty cool, but after downloading it, I realized you need an actual physical machine, which unfortunately you can't download off the internet, so I couldn't play it in the end, which was frustrating. If there's anyone out there who has one and wants to send it to me, I'll be happy to give it a try, but for now, it's getting no stars because I couldn't physically play it. The next game is Adventures with Barbie Ocean Discovery. This game begins with Barbie reading some book by the sea with her dolphin friend Sandy, and then discovering that the Queen's Crest, a giant ship with treasure, crashed and sank 100 years ago, and she decides she's going to go out and find it after getting a bit of the map. Just like that, I respect the determination. She meets up with Ken on a boat and says farewell when the great-grandson of the captain comes and says he's going to find the treasure first, as Ken watches in disbelief.
You'll never find the treasure. It was meant for me.
Ocean Discovery is just a generic 2D side-scroller that's underwater, and you just go around finding parts of the map and eventually get to the ship. Also, just thinking, how do none of these sharks even attack her, or how does she not come near a jellyfish or something? And how is she even breathing? None of this makes sense. The game doesn't go much deeper than that, no pun intended. I didn't find it that interesting, and the gameplay was very flat, so I'm going to give this one 2 stars. The next game we're playing is Secret Agent Barbie, the first properly 3D one on the list, and oh my god, it was such a pain to actually get running. And I've definitely corrupted my computer with some of the things I had to download just to try and get it to work. But finally I did, after using my computing genius, and we start off with Barbie and the gang in their base and need to complete some training to get down the basic mechanics. We get to choose her outfit as she looks dead-eyed into the screen. We learn stealth first, and I'm sorry, I don't care how quick you tumble, that guy definitely saw that. Next up is action training, which is just jumping and moving, and then there's adventure training, which is how to talk to people and get past guards, as well as a puppy drone that Barbie has in her pocket, and this can be used to lure guards away. The first mission we have is in New York to go to a fashion show and speak to Teresa. Who is Teresa? I don't know, but she needs our help. We get into the park and find Teresa, and she says that her outfits have been stolen prior to her upcoming fashion show. We don't end up finding them now, but we do find a ticket to a ball in Paris, which is where we head next. We get some new gadgets, a camera and a wrist glider, which now allows us to defy physics and get into high places. We go to the ball and do some snooping and find a secret room inside, hidden behind this puzzle, but there's nothing actually inside, just some zebra fabric. Next missions are in Tokyo, where we meet the most stereotypical old Asian lady.
I was helping a customer when I noticed somebody sneaking out of here.
Egypt and Rio. But eventually, we get to the Himalayan mountains, and with the use of invisible mode, we find the missing outfits, and the mission is complete. This was a very good Barbie game, I do have to say. The realism does have to be questioned at times, but apart from that, and also judging by the actual target audience, which, spoiler alert, isn't me, it's actually a pretty well-made game with some diverse missions, and the very simple story makes it easy to follow. I'm going to give this one 4.5 stars. Next up is Barbie Beach Vacation. Barbie is now at a holiday resort and is joined again by Teresa and does a lot of activities that were in previous games.
Let's get started.
There's scuba diving to take photos of animals, there's sea skiing, I think that's what you call it, there's outfit customization, remember this is a Barbie game, and there's also a castle building activity, which I thought was pretty cool and a unique idea. There's also surfing as well. After doing all of these activities, there's a big vacation party at the end, and you can decide what you want in it and then do some hula dancing. To remember all this, you can get a big picture to print after the party is finished, and this is where we get a good glimpse of Ken in this game, and he honestly looks like he's snorted something during the party. Overall, I'd say the activities are kind of fun, but there's also only so many times you can do them before they get boring and repetitive, so this game's getting 3 stars. Next game is Barbie Team Gymnastics. What the hell is that run? In this this game, Barbie and the crew have started their own gymnastics team. Honestly, I think the only person who's had more jobs than Barbie is Johnny Sins. But basically, what we need to do is put gymnastic moves in an order to perform them in practice and eventually in a show. There are quite a few different moves that Barbie can do, from balancing to swinging around a bar, but this is pretty much all the game has to offer. So it falls behind in that aspect, and I'm going to give it 2 stars. Next up is yet another designer game, so I won't go into too much detail, as it's pretty much the same as the others. But one thing to mention is that you can put as many hair extensions on the characters as you want, so this one is getting 2 stars as well. But now moving to the ice skating world with Barbie Sparkling Ice Show. This is actually the first game to feature a difficulty changer with easy, medium and expert styles, and each one allows you to use more arrow keys to move around. This follows a similar progression to the previous game, where you customize your skating performance, practice and get ready for a big show. This one has different maps, such as in the mountains, on a tropical island, which I'm not sure how the ice would be melting, but then also in a park. This one comes above the others in this type of game, but the gameplay is still quite limited, and you can tell it was just made for kids, so I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. Next up we have Barbie Explorer. You can definitely tell what games have more money and effort put into them compared to others, and this is one of them. Its gameplay is very similar to Secret Agent Barbie, but a bit more polished, and includes more mechanics like climbing walls, pulling and pushing objects, monkey bars and swinging from ropes. This game begins with Barbie speaking to some guy, and he tells her about a treasure that's been lost, and Barbie decides she's no longer an ice skater or secret agent or snowboarder, she's now an explorer. There are many different levels where you have to complete different puzzles to get through various obstacles, and oh my god, some of the jumping nearly drove me insane. But nevertheless, I think it's a pretty well made game, and it seems like it's actually had some thought put into it, instead of just being the 40th Barbie designer game made. This one's getting 4.5 stars. Next we're going into the Disney side with Barbie as Rapunzel. The game begins with the evil queen trapping the prince in stone, and Barbie, with the help of her dragon friend, has to find these stones to free him. The start of the game is spent painting to get all the colour back in the castle, which was very satisfying to be fair. I really enjoyed this bit. Then we move on to some puzzle solving and then garden decorating in the garden. And after all the colour is restored, we have to put all the gems we collected into the prince's crown after finding him at the end of this maze, and they all live happily ever after. Now, although this Barbie game doesn't really have much complexity or a strong story or anything, I thought it was so satisfying to colour in everything. Maybe I am a child, but I had a good time, and I'm going to give this game 4 stars. Now, the next game is a very, very weird one. It's some Dutch baby version of Barbie called Barbie Shelley Club. The Groot Dieren Parade, which translates to the Great Animal Parade. This is definitely the most unique and kind of unnerving game of the list. I mean, Barbie looks like she's going to choke me with that dog when I sleep. Like, stop looking at me like that. This game begins with this Dutch song. And I can't really tell you the story because I don't speak Dutch, but judging by what I saw, each Barbie character has their own pet, and you can dress them up in outfits, and each of their pets has their own unique activity. This girl has an elephant, this other girl has a horse, this guy, who I think is Ken, has a polar bear. Then there's a big animal parade at the end with everyone and their pets. This is a very weird version of Barbie that I was not expecting to play, but it was kind of funny and entertaining. However, that's all I can say about it, really. I'm sure the little Dutch girls back in 2003 loved this game, but I didn't so much. So I'm going to give this one 2.5 stars. Next we have Barbie Beauty Boutique, which, although it is basically another designer game, it does have a lot more features to it. For example, you choose what event you want to get ready for, and then you can do everything that the previous game did all in one. I'm talking hair, nails, pampering, makeup, outfit picking, and then go into the function and style. But as far as gameplay goes, that is it. So I didn't really have much of an opinion on it, and at this point I've played so many designer games that they all started blending together. This gets 3 stars. Moving back onto the 3D games now, we next have Barbie Horse Adventure Mystery Ride. In this one of Barbie's friend's horses has been stolen just before a competition, and Barbie has to go and find her. This game includes some cool mechanics like horse riding now in 3D, slingshots, and herding farm animals. It draws a lot of similarities to Red Dead Redemption actually, which is a big compliment. The world is quite big and diverse, and there's quite a variety in the missions that you need to complete, even though they are all quite basic. The graphics, although not amazing, have gotten better since the last 3D game, and the design of areas looks quite nice. The story of course is basic like the other games, but it is a Barbie game, so what do you expect? I'm going to give this one 4.5 stars. Next up is Barbie Fashion Designer, which I think you can guess what you have to do by the name, but it is to design clothes based on certain themes that you were given. There's a quick intro to the world we're playing in, where Barbie meets a famous designer who asks her to make some clothes for her. Again, this is pretty much all the game has to offer, just pick and customize clothes and show them off in a show, so I'll move on quickly and give this one 2.5 stars. The next game is based off one of the movies, Barbie as Princess and the Pauper. In this one, you play as Barbie in a castle, completing simple tasks and eventually going into town and speaking to the locals, as well as singing to animals.
Follow me, come follow me.
It's nothing very complex, and a lot of it is just walking around, but the design looks quite nice, and you get to hit some iron. This one's getting 3 stars. Next we have Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus, based off the film. Like a lot of games in this era, as you'll find later on, Barbie is joined by her own flying horse, who talks, and they meet with the Cloud Queen. Basically, there is some evil guy who messed with them, and they need to find the Wand of Light to defeat his evil. The gameplay was a mix of exploring snowy areas, doing puzzles, and skating between locations, which honestly felt pretty fun when playing. It's not exactly a challenging or unique game, but you meet different characters and go to multiple locations, and I really like the diversity. I specifically liked one of the missions where you're on a giant table and need to sneak past this sleeping giant. I think so far this is one of the best games I've played, so this one is getting 5 stars. With only a few games left, we'll have to see if any others top it. The next game is the Barbie Diaries High School Mystery. This is another mystery game where something bad happens and we need to figure it out, but this one is unique from the others as it's in 3D and takes place in Barbie's high school. Barbie wakes up and wants to convince her friends to compete in the Battle of the Bands, and this is where we see the communication mechanic that the game has, where Barbie can actually choose different voice lines to say to her friends and tell some of the cheesiest jokes I've ever heard to get them on board.
What did the mayo say to the refrigerator door? Close the door, I'm dressing!
A lot of the game uses this mechanic to speak to different students, as well as preparing for the battle by setting up the stage, piecing together music, whilst also figuring out what is going on at the school through exploring new areas and discovering the mystery piece by piece. This game does come very close to the Magic of Pegasus, but not as close, so it's getting 4.5 stars. Next up we have Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses. This one is actually a bit more story focused than the others, with the premise that you play as Princess Genevieve, one of 12 sisters who lives under strict rule imposed by their cousin, Duchess Rowena. The goal is to explore the castle, uncover secrets, and ultimately discover the magical world where princesses can truly be free. Gameplay is fairly simple, but there are some parts I had when playing that I thought maybe a younger person would struggle a lot to figure out what to do. You move through different areas of the castle, interacting with objects and solving small puzzles, which usually involve finding hidden items, unlocking doors, or activating mechanics to progress. The main game mechanic is this dancing, where you do rhythm-style mini-games that are tied to the story. Again, I also like this one quite a lot, with the detailed world and more fluid controls, so okay, this one's getting 5 stars as well. Next game we have is Barbie as the Island Princess. In this one, you play as a girl who's grown up on a tropical island alongside animal companions, and the story follows her journey as she leaves the island and enters a royal world, discovering her identity and place in society. Gameplay is set around exploring different environments, starting with the island and later moving into bigger locations like a castle. Most of the game is mini-games and running around and simple tasks involving animals. Speaking of animals, you get a companion with you the entire game, which is nice, but sometimes they don't shut up.
I must say I'm good.
The game is very bright and colourful, which you'd expect with it being a Barbie game, and the island does look very nice, I will say. The only thing is that the story isn't very complex and does copy from other games, with it just being comprised of puzzles most of the time. This one's getting 4 stars. Next up is yet another horse riding game, Barbie Horse Adventure Riding Camp. In this game, you play as Barbie arriving at a riding camp located on a large island. From the start, the structure is more open than other Barbie games. You're given a horse and allowed to explore different areas freely. This is the main mechanic of the game, roaming across different trails, beaches, forests, and hills, as well as taking care of your horse by grooming it and keeping it fed. Again, a lot like Red Dead Redemption. I'm starting to think these games inspired the series. This game can also be completed at your own pace instead of a linear progression all the others have. And to do this, you complete tasks like finding lost items, delivering objects, and helping other campers. I would definitely say this is the best and most fun horse game out of the list, and therefore it's also getting 4.5 stars. Next is Barbie Fashion Show, an eye for style. This is basically the exact same game as the other fashion design games, so I'm going to give this one a similar rating of 3.5 stars. And now we are at the final one on my list, and this one is quite interesting as it's a 2D platformer game like the older ones, despite coming out in 2009. Barbie and the Three Musketeers. In this one, you play as Barbie as a young woman who travels to Paris with the dream of becoming a musketeer. The story follows her training and eventual discovery of a plot against the royal family. Gameplay is structured around short, level-based missions rather than open exploration in the classic 2D platformer style. As you progress, you unlock and switch between different characters, each with their own skills. For example, some are better at jumping, others can interact with certain objects, and some have abilities tied to puzzles. And I liked this when I was playing as it added more variety and stopped the game feeling too repetitive. Visually, the game isn't amazing, but it is much better than the other 2D platformers on the list. And this one felt like it had more level progression instead of going around completing mini games. This last one is getting 5 stars. And that completes the list for this video. There are of course more games that are newer, but these were all the ones in the 2000s, totaling to 34 games, and if I included all the other ones, I fear this video would be like 3 hours long. If you would like to see a part 2, then let me know, and I'll be happy to do so, as I actually had a good time playing these games, and I kind of got a bit of nostalgia. Not because I used to play them, but because I played other games that had a similar old school style when I was younger. But now it's time to review the best and the worst games. The worst out of the list was Barbie and Her Magical Dream House, and Barbie as Princess Barbie, although it was glitched, so might not be fair. And out of these two, I'm picking the worst as Barbie and her magical dream house. And now the best ones, Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus, Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses, and Barbie and the 3 Musketeers. Now out of these three, I'm going to pick the best as Barbie and the Magic of Pegasus. There we have it, the best and the worst. And so we found out in this video, you can indeed have a good time playing Barbie as a 21-year-old man, as long as you have an open mind.